Hi guys, welcome back to Spirit Chill. Today we're going to talk about karmic situations, karmic relationships, why things may feel like they're for you and they're meant for you, but they aren't actually for you. It's just a situation to learn from, learn about yourself, learn about other people, and it's something to really grow with. So let's just jump right into it and talk about the feeling of, desire versus actual want, because desire is something that has a little bit more strength, that has a little bit more energy involved, and so it can be really distracting when you're in a relationship, when you're really desiring somebody and you want that person to connect with you, but they're just not connecting with you the way that you want them to, and so it kind of heightens that desire and it makes it somewhat of an unhealthy situation. I mean, it's not always that case. However, a lot of these situations can really turn into something that's unhealthy because you're getting one pull from one person and the other person is kind of pulling away. And so it kind of amplifies that desire and versus the actual want of somebody, because you can want somebody without actually desiring them, which it also goes into your vocabulary, your own meaning of these words, but really we're kind of talking more so about like the energy involved. So when we're wanting somebody, we're wanting them to come towards us, we're wanting to attract them, which is totally fine. It kind of defeats a law of attraction sometimes in some people's vocabulary, but it's definitely okay to want somebody. It's definitely okay to want to attract them. There's different ways, and we use witchcraft, spellcraft, and just the law of attraction to attract individuals that are meant for us. And it's kind of best to really stay away from specifics when you're trying to do this, because you want somebody's true energy to be shown, because you don't want to have to face some of these problems down the road, at least for most of us, are old souls. So it's really important to understand that energy. And if it's getting amplified when people are having like these conflicts or kind of pulling away from you, then it's kind of really important to kind of acknowledge the situation that you're in, and ask yourself, is this a karmic situation? Is this a karmic lesson to learn? And if it is, what can I learn from it? What can I do to grow from this situation and become a bigger person so I can actually attract somebody who is really meant for me? So firstly, when you're in a karmic situation, there's a lot of conflict. Not always a lot of conflict. There's usually conflict involved where the other person's kind of getting pushed in a different direction, and you see that. And if you acknowledge that kind of direction that they're going in, and it's definitely going the opposite of you, you should really acknowledge that energy and try to understand that some things are just not meant for you, and that's totally okay, because it's not necessarily that they're a bad person or the situation is bad. And sometimes it's kind of hard to see because maybe the karmic lesson's pretty small, but it's really about putting yourself first, your own wants and needs first, before you try to pour into a different soul other than yours. Acknowledging the karmic lesson is really the biggest point I'm trying to make here. When you actually acknowledge the karmic lesson and you actually start, involving yourself in what you can do to grow from the situation, then things are going to make a lot more sense for you. And the thing is that situation is going to evolve. It's either going to grow or it's going to kind of dissipate and go away from you. And you know that whole saying, like, if it's meant for you, it's going to come back. Well, use that as your prime example for a karmic situation. Like, if something is actually meant for you and you kind of like either cut it off or just kind of distance yourself away from the situation, then it's not going to be affected by your own energy. If you're being healthy about this, you're communicating that. And if you're pulling away from somebody, you yourself, then there's probably a reason why you're pulling away. But also, when you release, you let go, and things come back to you, that's kind of a good indicator of what's actually meant for you. And you can actually kind of use that energy to understand the lesson involved in the situation. So try to be healthy with your communication, but also try to learn from the situation. So it's like the key part is learning, because when we learn, we grow, obviously. And when we put ourselves first, one, we're loving ourselves, we're practicing self-care, self-love, and we're actually understanding like the things that we can do in our own life to improve ourselves. And usually a lot of growth comes from that type of karmic situation. Usually, like, If you have like weight loss goals, that's amplified. If you have financial goals, that's amplified because you get more focused on work, you get more focused on your personal life because you want to kind of evolve and change into a better person, or just you want to focus on yourself. It's not even necessarily about being a better person because chunky monkeys are okay. Just kidding. But seriously, like, it's okay to like change and use a situation to evolve and grow from. And that's the biggest prime reason we go into these karmic situations, these karmic lessons, to actually evolve and turn into, a smarter individual, like not even for our relationships, but for our, our personal life. Like if it's like something about growing a business, your communication skills are very, very important. So it's great to have great communication skills. So when you're learning from a relationship or situation, a karmic situation, your communication skills usually grow, and that's what you're kind of getting pushed towards to when you have a karmic relationship or you have a karmic situation of any kind. So just understand that, just because it it's not really something that you ideally wanted to be in, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It's actually really important to go through these situations. I mean, we learn them at a very young age, but usually we're distracted about like everything else in the world going on, and we have like, these little pea-sized brains that are like focused on like colors and so small social interactions versus like something that's kind of more amplified and has more purpose and sense of meaning. Because, when we're wanting to create a family, we want a family or something like that, or we just want a real like healthy relationship, you have to go through those situations. You learn from experience, right? So it's just important to understand that dynamic, so you're not really kind of punishing yourself or feel like the universe is punishing you because of the situation that you're involved in. So the way that you handle the situation, the way that you grow from the situation, is usually the best indicator of your own self growth, and it's also what the universe is actually putting you in that situation in the first place for. And I know it can be frustrating, trust me, I've been there, but it's really important to learn and evolve. So understand that you are growing, and give yourself the self-respect, and put yourself first and be a little bit selfish, because again, all of our star seeds, all of us spiritual beings, we're going to our selfish era because this is a time where we are really meant to experience true abundance, like financial, health, and relationship wise, and that goes for friendships too. We want healthier friendships, so a lot of that stuff is evolving and changing, and a lot of the things that we learned as far as our mirroring situations, they're changing into something more meaningful and something that we can adapt and grow with. So it's going to kind of eliminate all of those karmic situations. When you actually learn the karmic lessons, you're not going to have to repeat these cycles. That is the best part, by the way. When you don't have to keep repeating these cycles and you actually learn what you were supposed to learn, then the universe is going to acknowledge that and be like, oh, hey, you know what? I'm not going to put this person in that situation anymore. She's going to be in such and such, and we're going to, yep, we're just going to put her up here instead of right here in the middle. So just, think about it that way, and think about the things that you can actually learn from, and maybe don't overthink it, Virgo here. So don't overthink the situation, just let it kind of play out the way it's supposed to. And when you feel called to say something, or you feel called to explain yourself, or not necessarily explain yourself, but explain your energy and communicate that, then take that opportunity to do so, because that's usually what you're trying to learn as far as the karmic lesson is, the better communication skills and communicating your own energy, your own wants, your own needs, and sometimes also your desires, because those are not, it's your shadow, it's not necessarily bad for you. It's okay to want these things, it's okay to desire these things, it's just how you go about it and the way that you react and interact with other people. That's the most important part, is your interactions. Your actual social interactions are very important to acknowledge. So I hope that resonates. I hope you understand what I'm trying to point out here as far as like karmic lessons, karmic relationships, and that sort of energy, because it's really important to adapt your mindset to that, because then you won't be in victim mode anymore. You'll be in like, oh, I got my coat of armor on and I'm here to figure things out. So Yeah, I hope today's video was really helpful, and I hope it cleared up some things, some ideas, some thoughts that you may have had, and it kind of gets you out of that victim mindset, because we're not here to be victims. We're here to change and be the flowering blossom that we want to be or need to be for ourselves, because we deserve more, and understanding that you deserve more will help you with this karmic situation. So I love you. Breathe some fresh air and understand that you are adapting, you're evolving, and you're growing. Bye.